Today there is a lot of news from the east. Here, the Ukrainians have been preparing for a big counterattack in order to reset Russian advances and force them to commit more resources to Bakhmut at the expense of their massive offensive operation. As a result, the Russians lost their positions on the hills above Ivanovsk, which is equal to 2 weeks of progress. When it comes to Bakhmut, previously, I told you that the Ukrainians have relocated certain troops from Kostiantynivka to the Chasiv Yar area and started preparing for a counterattack. I also told you that because the Russians created a very narrow pathway, they created perfect conditions for a flank attack. Today, it was confirmed that the Ukrainians had conducted a counterattack precisely in this region. The attack was reportedly conducted from 2 sides. The first one to cut them off and the second one to force them to step back. Russian sources only reported the fact of the counterattack, while Ukrainian sources indicated that the Russians were pushed away from the hills. This is a significant development because it allows the Ukrainians to preserve control over the logistical routes that supply Bakhmut. The head of the Wagner group that is trying to cut Ukrainian supplies explained yesterday why the Ukrainians are still holding Bakhmut. He said that apart from the 3 main roads, there are more than 10 small roads that go along the tree belts and connect Bakhmut and all other villages in the area with the mainland. Other military analysts stated that current weather allows to use these roads with ease, even with regular cars, let alone Humvees. So, even if the Russians had enough artillery support in this region to constantly shell the main roads, it would not affect the number of supplies arriving at Bakhmut. Having said that, the Russians showed incremental progress to the north of Bakhmut. Here, geolocated footage confirmed that a small Russian assault group had come out of the ravine, crossed the road, and assaulted Ukrainian positions in front of Berhivka. The situation in Pereskaviivka is extremely difficult, but under total Ukrainian control. Some Russian sources suggest that this group is completely cut off from the mainland and that they will be encircled within several days. However, the same claims were floating around Krasna Hora, which was virtually encircled for weeks. Today, the footage was released of how Ukrainian soldiers were withdrawing from Krasna Hora. As you can see, they were not in rush, and the withdrawal was prudently conducted. This shows that the Ukrainians are tightly controlling the situation on the ground, have all the contingencies worked out, and are timely adjusting to the new developments as they unfold. The same situation is happening right now around Pereskaviivka. Despite the seeming encirclement, they know how many trenched in front of the highway are still under their control, and when the Russians pass the tree belt lines and are ready to assault the forest, the Ukrainians will withdraw from Pereskaviivka as well. The fact that the Ukrainians refuse to give away their positions unless absolutely necessary requires the Russians to spend significantly more time, and time is working against the Russians because the snow will start melting already next week.